joining us. My name is Efrah Noor and you're watching Dalsan TV English News Bulletin. Political consultations are continuing in Mogadishu as federal, regional and opposition leaders remain engaged ahead of expected talks on elections, constitutional matters and governance. On Saturday, former President Mohamud Farmaajo met with the regional presidents of Puntland and Jubaland, who are currently in the capital Mogadishu, as part of broader opposition engagements. At the same time, Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre has also held meetings with regional leaders and other political stakeholders. The developments come as President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud is expected to engage opposition leaders in talks in Mogadishu. Our reporter Mohammed Saido has more.
Political engagement continued in Mogadishu on Saturday, with former President Mohamud Farmaajo holding meetings with Puntland President Saeed Abdullahi Dani and Jubaland President Ahmed Mohammed Islam, also known as Ahmed Madhobe. The meetings form part of ongoing opposition consultations focused on national political issues, including electoral process, constitutional questions, and governance arrangement. Leaders from Puntland and Jubaland remain in the capital as part of these discussions. Separately, Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre has held discussions with regional leaders and other political stakeholders as federal authorities continue engagement with various actors during this period of political dialogue. The development come ahead of anticipated talks involving President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and opposition figures, though no formal timetable has been announced. Mohammed Saido, Dalsan TV English.
President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has addressed African leaders at the African Union Heads of State and Government Summit, where he spoke about Somalia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. In his remarks, the president raised concerns over international positions related to Somaliland and called for continued African support for Somalia's unity. Our reporter Mohammed Saido has more on this story.
Speaking at the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud reiterated Somalia's position on sovereignty and territorial integrity. He stressed that Somaliland remains part of the Federal Republic of Somalia and urged African Union member states to uphold principles of unity, constitutional order, and respect for internationally recognized borders. The president also highlighted the importance of coordinated African engagement on issues affecting Somalia's political stability and regional security. Somalia's participation at the summit comes as the country continues diplomatic engagement with regional and international partners alongside ongoing internal political consultations. Mohammed Saido.
In Somalia's parliament, opposition lawmakers have announced the formation of a special committee to review parliamentary leadership and procedures. The committee was formed on Saturday following a session in which members raised concerns over constitutional and legislative matters. Mohammed Saido has more on this story.
Opposition members of parliament on Saturday announced the formation of a special committee tasked with reviewing parliamentary leadership and internal procedures. In a statement, the lawmakers said the committee will examine whether parliamentary processes have complied with the provisional constitution and the rules of procedure of the House of the People. The announcement followed a parliamentary session in Mogadishu, during which MPs raised concerns relating to constitutional interpretation, legislative oversight, and governance. The committee is expected to consult legal experts and present its findings and recommendation in the coming period.
Kenya has announced plans to reopen its border with Somalia in April this year, nearly 15 years after it was closed. President William Ruto made the announcement during a visit to Mandera County, which borders Somalia. Mohammed Saido has more on this story.
Kenyan President William Ruto has confirmed that the Mandera border crossing between Kenya and Somalia will be reopened in April. The border was closed in 2011 following security concerns and a series of attacks in Kenya linked to the militant group Al-Shabaab, leading to strict restrictions on cross-border movement. Speaking in Mandera County, President Ruto said the decision reflects security assessment and coordination between Kenyan and Somali authorities. Kenyan officials say security deployment will remain in place as the reopening is implemented. The move is expected to restore trade and movement for border communities affected by the prolonged closure.
In security developments, Turkish naval vessels have docked at Mogadishu Port as part of continued defense cooperation between Turkey and Somalia. Mohammed Saido tells us more about this story.
Turkish naval vessels have arrived at Mogadishu Port as part of ongoing defense cooperation between Turkey and Somalia. Somali defense officials say the visit is intended to support maritime security capacity through training, technical cooperation, and logistical support for Somalia's naval forces. With one of Africa's longest coastline, Somalia has prioritized maritime security to address challenges including illegal fishing and maritime crime. Turkey's support forms part of a broader security partnership between the two countries.
Finally, the United Kingdom has announced £6 million in humanitarian funding to support drought-affected communities in Somalia, following a recent visit to Mogadishu by the UK Minister for International Development in Africa, Baroness Jenny Chapman, who met President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud here in Mogadishu. UK officials say the funding forms part of a wider £61 million package for Somalia, aimed at combining emergency humanitarian assistance with longer-term investment-driven development to strengthen resilience to climate shocks. That's it from our side. Thank you for joining us, and we wish you a lovely evening.